4 different kings, 4 different kingdoms, 4 different traits, 4 different religions, and finally 4 different species. Today, we are going to be making all of what I just said, and then we're going to have them fight to the death. It's going to be awesome. Stick around. So first, we have our waffle-shaped slate left open, and we are going to split it into 4 different sections. So first, let's go roughly down the middle. I'm sure it's not a straight line, who cares? That's pretty even, there's a little bit more on this side. And then we're going to have to go sideways, like here. So we have our roughly equal 4 sections here, and we are going to split it up into 4 biomes first. So since it's the new update, we may as well do 4 different biomes. We'll do the rock biome here. We'll use some of the newer biomes. We'll create the new clover biome down here, the maple biome in the bottom left, and lastly, we'll go with the flower biome in the top left. So we're going to move down and pick our animals, and many of you guys in the comments were saying that I should go with some of the actual humanoid animals. Well, for the rock biome, I'm assuming we should load up these armor rocks, which I'm assuming are rhinos that have been humanized. We are going to spawn about 100 of them. In the bottom right clover biome, I'm going to go with the humanoid snakes here. I know it's kind of the opposite, but when I think of lucky clovers, I think of Ireland, and Ireland, what are there none of? There's no snakes in Ireland. In the maple biome, I'm going to try to think of the most Canadian thing I can think of. And I feel like that the grizzly bears are a good option here, and we're going to go with 100 of those guys as well. Lastly, we have the flower fields, and so far we have spawned in humanoid rhinos, humanoid bears, and humanoid snakes. So we're going to have to keep up in the ante here, which is why I'm going to pick humanoid rabbits. So we're going to spawn in 100 of those, and let us begin. Our 4 kingdoms have been developed, so first we have to meet our king. Down here in the snakes, we have King Sless. We will name him Sless the Slithery, and make him a favorite. Now, of course, we will also make him immortal, as we will have old age on in this world. So now we're going to give him some traits, a custom that you would think of for a snake. I guess deceitful would make sense, bloodlust, and agile and fast, and I guess finally probably lucky, and that's only because they're in the clover biome. Over here for the bears, we have a bear named Hina, and that's a really cool model, I have to say, for the bears. We'll name him Hina the Grizzly. For his traits, we're going to give him ambitious, giant and fat, strong and tough, and also immortal too. Up here with the rhinos, we have this lady named Gorg. Gorg the angry, because it says she's very angry right now. This person will have traits similar to that of the bear. Greedy, ambitious, giant, fat. She already has strong and tough, immortal, and we'll give her one more. We'll give her Titan's lungs. And lastly, we got our rabbit, led by a queen named Jamie Jeppo. He will go with honest, content, genius, eagle-eyed, lucky, pacifist, fast, agile, and weak. And that will be all of our kings met. But now it's time to look at the subspecies. We're going to customize each subspecies, and remember, the subspecies will affect all of the animals in the kingdom. Bears, we will give them inquisitive, slow builders, enhanced strength, and voracious. Down here to our snake people, we will give them more cautious, accelerated healing, heat resistance, and finally we're going to make them a little bit psychotic. Up to the rhinos, pretty simple. They're going to be inquisitive, have an exoskeleton, and enhanced strength. That'll be all. And lastly, for our rabbits, we're going to give them fast builders, hyper intelligence, super positivity, accelerated healing, and good throwers. Because why not? With our subspecies out of the way, there's only one thing left we have to do. We have to go to all of our kings, go to plots down here, have them create their own religion, which we're going to customize and make sure all the members have special abilities too. The religions are all being made, and they are done. We now have 4 different religions, which already happen to contain most of the members of each different species. So starting with the rabbits, we are going to customize their religion. Their religion will be available to all members, not just members in the clan. They're going to give every member +10 diplomacy, intelligence, and stewardship. They will be able to summon magical vines to slow down enemy warriors, and they can make trees and plants fight against their enemy. They will be able to summon lightning and thunderstorms to take down their enemy. They'll also have the power to heal illnesses and fix wounds. Lastly, they'll have a bubble shield. Over to the rhinos, they will have a religion will give them +10 warfare, unleash demons from hell, heal wounds, raise skeletons, and create a protective shield. For the snakes, they will have +10 warfare and +10 intelligence. They will be able to inflict a curse on their enemies, summon meteorites and earthquakes, cure illness and disease, and summon angles to fight their enemies. And lastly, we have the last bear religion. They will have +10 warfare, cast rain hellfire, summon stormfront, and lastly, they'll be able to summon the dead to fight at their command. With all the religions in place, now you simply have to wait. All of these kingdoms will become very powerful with time. And it appears that the bears have been getting in some turbo warfare with each other, I believe. With a lot of the skeletons that I believe they themselves spawned. So I had to take that skeleton part off, but because of that there is a new king of the bears, a 7-year-old also named Ona, which I believe was the name of the last person too. So we will name her Ona the Grizzly too. And because of her mother's errors, she is only going to get eagle-eyed, strong, tough, and immortal. So blame it on your mom, kid. And now we wait. It is currently going on year 40, and at year 250 the war will begin. I'll do a quick check-in at year 150 to tell you how each side's doing, and then it's time for these sides to fight. And remember, since these are all different species, there will be no hostages taken. They will all fight to the death, and only one kingdom will remain.
3 days later.
And we are coming up on year 150. There we are. These kingdoms have expanded rapidly. And the first thing I'm going to do is rename them. I'm going to name this to the rabbits. This to the rhinos, close enough. This to bears, and lastly this one to snakes. That's just so we can have some clarity between them. So looking at population numbers instantly, it seems like they developed very differently. The rabbits, unsurprisingly, expanded like, well, rabbits. The snakes expanded pretty rapidly too, up to nearly 3,500. Second worst is the rhinos, who are at 2,000, and the bears are still recovering from their slow start, and they're only at 1,200. Now, based on armies alone, the rabbits have the most with 2,200 soldiers, but are they really the best? Also, if we're looking at our favorited units, the king of the rabbits at some point has died. Not quite sure how, but we're going to have to favorite a new one. The new king of the empire is Jotajama, this rabbit right here, who we will favorite and give him the immortality trait, but he gets nothing else. So all in all, nothing crazy has happened. I will see you back in 100 years when we are going to start the war.
3 weeks later.
So you may notice that it's year 230 and not 250. That's because look at me when I click unpause. Notice how slow that bar is moving. I'm in 20 times speed right now, and this is how fast it's going. So we're going to have to slow down and just admit that there's a little too many people in the world right now. So we are going to have to start the war here. And I think it's fine because I've been looking at the populations and they haven't really changed at all in the past 30 years or so. But I'll give you a quick rundown. It seems like pretty much the parallels we have here is that the bears and the rhinos are going to be right around the exact same because they're really strong. Snakes are a bit weaker, but they're still pretty powerful, therefore they still have a lot of people. And on the other hand, the rabbits are very weak, but because of that, they get a ton of people. And I like how the game balances itself out like that. So now let's hope my PC doesn't explode when I start this war. In terms of our king, somehow only Sless the Slithery from the Snake Kingdom is still alive. The rest must have died some way or another. I'm not even sure how. We are now going to make a little opening up into each kingdom from one to the other. Let's have every kingdom declare war on one another. And that should be everyone at war with everyone. And here we go. I think a smart idea would to be quickly saving real quick. And you can already see all the war lines and the speed just absolutely tanking. Hopefully, as world populations begin to decrease during the war, the game will start to speed up. But already, somehow there's battles inside. How is there a battle right here when nothing's even happened yet? Jeez, look at all the bombs and stuff going off because of all the members of their religion. Look at these kingdoms. Oh my god, did he just summon a meteor? Dude, the rabbits are falling like flies. There's a huge battle down here between the snakes and the bears. I can't even tell who's winning. There's so much just fire and effects. I can't tell. But bombs are falling from the sky. Because remember, each kingdom has their custom subspecies traits and their own religion too. Another battle here between the bears and the rabbits, and I can't even see anything. I have no clue what's going on in here. I believe the bears might be winning. If we look at the size of each army, the rabbits have an army 2,000 strong. The rhinos have an army 1,000 strong. The bears have an army 1,000 strong. The snakes have an army 1,000 strong. So the snakes look like they're the weakest right now, because the rabbits have a lot of soldiers, and the rhinos and the bears are very strong on their own. The snakes aren't that strong, meaning that they might collapse quickly. Now, luckily for the bears and also the rhinos, I guess, is that these two kingdoms are diagonal of one another, meaning that they really can't face each other right now. And geez, if we look at the war, remember there's 5 wars in total, 2,500 people have already died. Based on the location of these rhino armies here, it appears that the rhinos are moving in. They've infiltrated the rabbit mainland, and they are beginning a full frontal assault inwards. And remember, since they're different species, the rhinos have to eliminate every single rabbit, and that's going to be a lot to take. They have destroyed their first village though. Once again, down here in the south, as you can see, the bears have started to push into rabbit territory as well. So despite nearly having double population than each of these kingdoms on their own, they just can't do that much. The rabbits are absolutely tattooed, but as the rhinos and the bears come together, they're actually going to have to meet up, meaning that they're going to start fighting one another at some point. Down here in the snake kingdom, the very same thing is happening. The rhinos are pushing their army down south, while the bears are doing the same to the east, and they are slowly taking down the snakes. The snakes are actually down to just 1,800 people. So actually, luckily, we can check the death stats and see death from conflict, which is right around 10,000. And it looks like the snakes are going to be the first to fall, as they just are absolutely collapsing under the pressure of the bears and the rhinos. The rabbits are still kind of holding on, but they're not going to be long for this world either. It'll be essentially between the rhinos and the bears, but if you notice anything here, the rhinos' population, for whatever reason, has begun exploding. Somehow, usually these wars are completely to the death, but a few of these kingdoms contain rabbits still, as you can see. Most of them are rhinos, but like this one of Yamajikobidi and Jimajetto still have rabbits in them, which is interesting. And in an interesting development, the rhinos still have over 1,000 soldiers, while the bears have begun collapsing with just 300 left. This could mean very bad news for them when they have to face the rhinos. And just for the heck of it, we're gonna turn on angry villagers too to spice up some of these wars. And it's amazing to just see the wave of blue as the rhinos crush the rabbits and the snakes. But like I said, now the rhinos have to start directly facing the bears. And because it's been around 10 years since I started the war, we're going to do a little something special. We're going to make a gap between the two kingdoms right here, meaning that there can be more direct conflict between the two. And I really thought the rabbits would stand a chance. I really liked them. That sucks. But I'm very shocked in the snake's poor performance. Our last king is long gone, and now we just have this little loser remaining. And the snakes have finally been destroyed, and the rabbits are going to fall very quickly, I feel, leaving it just between the rhinos and the bears in a few minutes. The world population is down to just 6,200. Over 14,000 deaths from conflict, an absolute absorbent amount. Looking at some of the rhinos, look at this warrior, Gakuri, 85. I've never seen 85 kills from a natural creature, not one that I've given special traits. This is a completely normal dude, and although he might burn to death in a few seconds, he is still an absolute legend. And on the bear side, somehow their most kills only is 4. I don't even know how that's possible, but it looks like the odds are really in favor of the rhinos here. Rabbits are using their malicious powers to try and hold on, but it's just not going to be enough, not against the rhinos. The rhinos are trying to breach into the new gap that I've given them, but it seems like they're having a pretty hard time. Remember, since I turned on angry villagers, when a rhino army charges into bear territory, all of the bears in the village are going to fight back. But since the rhinos are on the offensive, they're only going to send armies in, meaning that they honestly are at a disadvantage whenever they send. And in more news, the rabbits are about to completely collapse. And while the rabbits are soon to collapse, the rhinos have finally begun making a full frontal assault, sending hundreds of protected troops in to try and take down the bears, in which they've been pretty successful. The rabbits are still hanging on to dear life, but I believe that's mainly because the rhinos have put most of their war effort into dealing with the bears, whose population numbers is beginning to fall, while the rhinos are actually getting stronger somehow. And time is still moving so slowly that this war has only been going on 15 years, even though it feels like way longer than that. In the war between the rhinos and the rabbits, over 6,000 people have died. look at this. Only 150 rhinos have died compared to 5,700 rabbits. That's absolutely absurd. That's an insane ratio of troops, and the rabbits really just didn't stand a chance. I must have not made them powerful enough. I thought they stood a chance, but clearly not. In terms of the rabbits versus the bears, the rabbits have lost 1,300, but killed 200, which is still really bad, but that's a much better proportion than that of the rhinos. And finally, between the bears and the rhinos, the bears have lost 800 and the rhinos have only lost 200. The rhinos are just absolutely destroying everything they're fighting, and the rabbits have been knocked down to their very last village. And the rhinos are continuing their brutal assault across the bear mainland, where they are literally having to eradicate entire villages at a time. But finally, the rabbits have nearly completely fallen. And you will notice in some of these villages, rabbits do still exist. Because of how quickly the rhinos move, they're not actually able to kill all of the other species, but for the most part, all the rabbits are wiped out. And the snakes actually have been completely wiped out, I believe. And now, because the rabbits have been defeated, the rhinos can push from all fronts. Down here from where the snakes were, up here from where the rabbits were, and finally, they can push troops down through their own diagonal homeland. It is now finally year 250, and in just 20 years, the rhinos have been able to essentially take over the world, but it's not quite over yet. Bears are down to less than 1,000 people. During this time, the rhinos are now up above 4,500 people and have nearly 1,200 soldiers. Their guy with the most kills now is this man named Garkark with 94 kills. And this war really is just getting out of hand, I believe. The bears' cities lay in rubble, mere shells of what they once were. The rabbit cities also remain in rubble, with just a few surviving buildings and just a couple surviving rabbits. The snake buildings are all but gone too, just remnants of what was once great. But finally, if you look into the Rhino Kingdom, everything is fine, as I believe throughout this entire war, not a single soldier from a different species has even stepped foot inside the rhino's land. The bears truly are on their last line of defense here. Nothing more than much that they can do. They're down to just their last couple of villages that are quickly getting torn through. And finally, there was one. And right before that city gets destroyed, we're going to check the final stats of the bear and rhino war. So, the rhinos lost only roughly 500 soldiers. A lot of soldiers, but compared to the bears, it's nothing. The bears lost 2,400 people, which is that's mind-boggling. And I honestly thought the bears and the rhinos would be very even, but it's clear that that was not the case. Maybe it's because the rhinos got out to a head start early, but whatever it was, doesn't matter, because the war is finally over, and the kingdom of the rhinos reigns supreme across the entire world. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I did. I just hope my PC doesn't blow up. But if you want to see more videos like this, comment, like, all that. Anything helps to get me in the algorithm so more people watch these videos. And finally, if you have any video suggestions, just let me know. Most of the videos I do are video suggestions. I believe this is a video suggestion too. So just let me know and I'll definitely do it if I like it. So I'll see you later. Bye.